What's going on, guys? Cody from Motorcycle MD. In this video, we will be tackling a carburetor synchronization process on this 1999 Honda Magna. This is a V4 style motor, 1 carb per cylinder, and since we've gone through the painstaking process of tearing these carbs apart, splitting them completely, cleaning them, putting them back on the bike, this will be the first run since that process was done. And we did do a bench sync with the carbs off of the bike, but now it's time to properly sync these carburetors once we hear the bike running and use an actual synchronization tool to make sure that we are perfect. Now, carb syncs are typically done once every 24 to 36,000 miles. It's not something that you're adjusting all of the time. And very, very rarely do carb syncs cause your bike not to run. If you're experiencing a carburetor issue, backfiring, or those type of symptoms, more often than not, it's not a synchronization issue. The whole premise of syncing carburetors is to simply align butterflies that are being functioned by your throttle. Since they are adjustable, and when you do things like tear apart carburetors and split them all apart, those adjustments get out of whack. And what you don't want are cylinders fighting for power. When you have butterflies that are opened partially and some open more than others, it causes the engine to not run as smooth as it should. Ideally, on a healthy motor, we want all of the cylinders receiving the same amount of fuel and air mix being sent into the cylinder. And performing this job actually gives me a great excuse to use a brand new product that has been improved and I've used in the past and have come to fall in love with from the guys over at DIGI-SYNC. This is now an all-inclusive carburetor synchronization kit that you can buy and use immediately on your bike, and we're going to use it in this video. But before we plug this all in, we need to get this bike completely warmed up. It's important for that to take place, as well as any adjustments you need to make to the mixture screws. Again, this is the first time we're firing this bike up since I did a carb clean on it, so we got to dial it in just slightly, and then we will plug this thing in and see where we're at. So with the tank off, we're going to be bottle feeding these carburetors to fill them up and to maintain fuel inside of each of the bowls. And we also have our vacuum line here that we can't just leave open because this is for the vacuum operated system. So we need to clamp this off and leave that clamped for now while we get this thing warmed up. This will be a totally cold start. We have a charged battery. I don't know the health of that battery, but it is charged up. We got oil. This is going to be a lot louder than the normal Magna because it's pretty much running straight pipes right off these things. There's not a lot of baffling inside of these pipes, and all 4 of them are open. And the spark plugs are the original ones that were in it. I have not changed them out, which I don't typically like to do, but I don't have a set on me right now. So you can definitely run into issues with spark plugs when the bike has sat for a couple of years and you're just gonna reuse them. We also don't have our snorkel on, so which isn't a big deal because we're just gonna be adjusting things at idle. We will likely be messing with the idle just to get this thing to run. We have our choke plunger that's kind of laying out here that we can use to start this thing up. We don't have our breather system on there, which is fine. But of course, we do need to have our ignition system hooked up so that we can run this. I'm just gonna let this kind of hang out right here. Let's go ahead and pre-fill all these bowls up with some fuel. Make starting a lot easier. Increase the idle a little bit. Add our choke. Now that the bike is warmed up and it came to life abruptly, and it sounds pretty awesome actually. All 4 cylinders are firing and man, those pipes are loud. But let's get into the meat of this video. So this is a product that if you guys have followed my channel for any amount of time, I've used before. Years ago, this company was just coming out and I compared this with other gauges, analog gauges, I might have used Mercury gauges. There was a company, Prop Tech, who sent me some of their stuff. All great tools, and I compared them, and I kind of fell in love with this one the most. But my complaint that I had with them back then was just not providing the user with the tools needed to get the job done. And now they have. One of the main reasons why I will stand behind this company is just their ability to listen to what customers and users have said to them and make adjustments as necessary. For instance, this is what you would get if you bought this. We got some stickers. We got a cool thank you card from them, and we have adapters, guys. They provide 2 different adapters for your bike, 5mm and 6mm adapters, equipped with O-rings and attachment for your hoses. They even provide, out of courtesy, some plugs. Some bikes that have Carb-SYNC ports, they just plug them up after you're not using them for access, and they provide just some courtesy ones to replace them with, which is awesome. This model in particular is their 6-feed unit. I can sync 6 carburetors all at once. That's super efficient. They sell a 4-lead model, they sell a 2-lead model, and you can get whatever you need for your situation. But having a 6-lead for me is beneficial. And even if I'm only going to be using 4, which is also cool, is these can just not be used at that time and it'll still read like it should. So let's go ahead and tap into this motor and use their ports to get this thing set up. So anytime you have a carbureted bike, you're going to have some type of way to tap into the intake system to find a port that has maybe a screw on it so you can plug an adapter in. These ones are kind of hidden behind these covers. The other main important thing is to realize what carburetor we're going to be basing our carburetor sync off of, and that's going to be this one. Most often, the carburetor that has the throttle cables going to it and that has the actual butterfly mechanism and the main idle adjuster is going to be the main carb. This is our base carb. So when you're plugging in your lines, you gotta remember that that one line that went into that carburetor is the one that you're going to be basing everything else off of. So on our rear cylinders, we're trying to find our adjuster that we can actually access, which is that one hanging down right there. Okay, it's right, and that's going to adjust that rear right carb sitting on the bike. Our front ones are just behind that metal throttle rod that's coming down through the carbs, and it's hard to see them. Regardless, that's what we're adjusting. The left one is for this left carb, the right one is for the right one. And for this bike, the ports that we are accessing are those Phillips head screws. You see they're kind of hidden behind these covers, which can be removed. You can take these covers off, and they are on all 4 of the intakes. And for this right side, we know where one is right here, or that vacuum line for the vacuum operated fuel valve. We can follow that one back to its port, and then we'll have to kind of sneak in here and grab this one right here. So we can grab a JIS style screwdriver number 2, set it up on there and give it a couple hits, and it should break loose just like that. They typically have some type of aluminum washer behind them. Try not to lose your screw taking it out. Magnetic tip helps. And there we have it. These JIS screwdrivers really are the game changer when it comes to working on these bikes. One thing that you do want to be careful of when it comes to these threads that are in the intake is you don't want to screw them up. So be very mindful of, you're threading them in, and make sure that you're obviously not stripping out threads. I'm going to be replacing this line anyways, so I'm not concerned with it getting damaged. There we go. And this one actually already has a little brass intake on it. Let's see if these hoses will snug up on that. And it's perfect. It fits right over top of it. Cool. So we don't have to worry about that one. From the looks of it, we'll be using our 5mm adapters. Just holding it up, it looks identical. What's also amazing, I don't know if this is what it's for or not, but inside of their packaging they had this spare line, and I was at first curious as to what it was for, but now that I realize that getting onto that with my fingers is nearly impossible, having a spare hose to screw something into, genius. Stupid simple. And once that is threaded in, we can pull our hose off, grab an 8mm socket, and just snug this thing up. Don't need to go crazy tight, I'm probably just going to leave these hand tight, just like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and attach our hoses. I'm just going to start with this first top one, like I'm reading a book. This will be our base carb right here. And then we'll do the one right beside it, number 2. Okay, number 3, we'll do front left. Send that one over there, and then number 4 will be this guy right here. Does not matter what order, you just got to remember which one you're doing. One thing I'll also state before we get started is the tools I'm using to make my adjustment, just to be able to reach in there. This one you might have seen before, it's from Motion Pro. I've used this before. The gearing on this thing is a little clunky, but it gets the job done. This one I have here has the same kind of angle on it. It has a little flathead tip that can protrude and spin. And this is an old tool that I got that was given to me. This is a Clover number 663 or 663 or something like that. I don't know. If it's a real thing and you can still buy them like this, I'll put it in the description. I haven't looked yet. But this Motion Pro one is usually the one that you'll see the most of online. But let's fire this thing up. Obviously, keep all of your hoses off of the exhaust. Shouldn't need to state the obvious so we don't burn them. Calibration done. Turn engine on. Okay. This is going to give us RPM as well. Alright, let's see what happens. Let's give this thing some more fuel. You guys won't be able to hear me with this bike running, so I'll audio over and we'll kind of talk about what we are discovering with this tool. So these measurements are going to be measured in kPa or kilopascal or kilowatt, whatever you want to call it. But ideally we're looking for a 1 to 2 number swing. And that little scan code right next to my thumb, you can scan that. It's a whole instruction manual on how to do this. And honestly, with these numbers, I probably could have just ended the video, you know, because it's not too far off. We were so close. But let's screw with it, you know, why not? So I'm going to mess with that number 3. I counted over and found that number 3, it's reading like 63 on the low end compared to the base carb, which is at 65. Sorry for the view of this. LCD screens are a little bit more difficult with blue lighting to get on video. Also, look at those cool little lights they put behind the octopus. I'm telling you what, man. Branding is everything. But we're going to adjust that. I'm just going to slowly turn it 8 turns to see if I can get it to come up. I'm keep going back and forth. You see the RPM kind of changing. This is at the correct speed. I did not speed this up, so this is how fast it's kind of refreshing. But just make small adjustments to see if I can't get it to peak over into that 65. Again, this is the second adjustment, so we're going to do one more, and you kind of hear the RPM kind of skyrocket real quick just from the pressure of me pushing on it. And it should, I think we were able to get the balance out. Then I noticed that there's a 63. So before I make that adjustment, I'm just going to shut the bike off though, and we're going to do a quick little throttle snap and see where we land after I do that. Surprisingly, these things are extremely close. So our bench sync was pretty darn accurate, but they're off by a number or 2. Would I really spend this much time fighting with that? Probably not. If they were way off, then we would spend more time on it. But what I'm going to do, I made 2 small adjustments, and we're going to shut the bike off. I'm going to take the throttle and snap it about 3 times so we can just kind of set everything back in, and we'll fire it back up and see where we're at and make adjustments accordingly. So I honestly did not think that the bench sync would have been that accurate. I guess I've done it way too many times, and I was kind of hoping that it would be way further off so we can make some big adjustments. And realistically, I don't know which direction is going to raise or lower the number. I'm really just going to try this way and try that way and see what the number does. You know, and it may change the one that's beside it, and that's very common. Same thing with if I was using a set of analog gauges, it would produce the same result. Fighting over either it's a 64 or a 63, I'm not going to waste my time doing that, neither should you. But if it was way off and you were making these huge full turn in or a half turn in, shut the bike off, snap that throttle a couple times, and keep repeating this process. You may find that the RPM is going to change. The main RPM, just from what you're hearing or what was on that digital readout, which is pretty cool that they have an RPM readout on that. I didn't know that it had that. But make your adjustment. It's okay to constantly be changing the RPM of the bike. Or you may make a big adjustment and it will just go real low and shut the bike off. Turn the idle up and rinse and repeat. Again, you want this to be done after you've done all of your small adjustments. Carburetor synchronization is a cherry on top adjustment. It's the last thing you'll do after you've done a lot of other things. Do you need to do a full-on valve adjustment? Maybe. If the bike has a lot of miles on it, I'm not typically doing a valve adjustment then doing a carb sync afterwards. That's a little bit overkill, in my personal opinion. But making sure that the idle screws are set and you're not messing with all that, and that it's idling, obviously, and it's warmed up. Key ingredients to a good carb sync. But I hope that made sense, and it was really cool to try this product out, and maybe you learned how to do it on a Magna DIGI-SYNC huge shout out to you guys. Thanks for making good products. Thanks for changing. You know, that's key. Not just putting out crap, but making it better for us guys to use. In the description, there is a special link to pick one of these things up. I put my name behind these things. They're awesome. Until next time, guys, Cody from Motorcycle MD, bringing you guys some quality tips and tricks for your next build or your daily rider. See y'all around. Later.